Um, let's talk about this game then. So, this is the second game of the Shaolin tournament finals between me and Dragon Reborn. This game is also not yet complete, so there's no way for me to spoil anything because there's nothing to spoil. But I do have the first half of the game that I'm going to commentate through and hopefully do some pretty drawings, and we'll preserve this memory for all time. So, let's talk about the draws. So Dragon Reborn goes first in this game, and he drops a Shadow and a Monk on the board, and this is a sad feeling because I look at my draw and I don't have a Shadow, and his Shadow's already on the board. So that's a very sad feeling. To already be down in the shadow race, so to speak. And in the other game, he got a Shadow out first as well. So kind of sucks that both games I wasn't able to get lucky and get a Shadow out. But it is what it is. You gotta deal with it and move on. So let's see what I did in response to this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to contest the gem square here. If the Shadow can get buffed, and get good map position, then I could be pushed back into kind of like behind my crystals here, and into that area. And especially if he's going to bamboo on this square here, then I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So my crystals will be really exposed. I'll have to really fight to hang on to this tile here, the assault tile. And that's just the benefit that getting an early Shadow can do for you. So I want to contest that really quickly. So I bring my Poisoner up here, and then I block it off with the Monk, who's basically going to block vision. That way, he's going to have a really hard time controlling the square because the Poisoner is going to lock down this whole area here, and he doesn't really have any offense to deal with deal with the Poisoner right away. I also want to get 3 units out so that I can help get healing, which works out for me because I got my Taoist over here. And I throw the Windblade up here because I'm thinking about this tile right here. If you get a Windblade on that tile, he can threaten this square here, and he's just tough to kill. So it's good to have something with the potential to kind of control the space up here later on. That's just some speculative play I'm looking ahead. So let's see what he does. So he brings out the Shadow, he puts the Helm on the Shadow, and he gets a Taoist out and a Windblade. So now I'm doubly unlucky because he's got a Taoist on the board, so he's got a Shadow plus a Taoist. So there's no way that I can try to go crazy and dragon down the Shadow before he gets a healer out or anything. He's going to be fairly well established, and so he sees that I've kind of locked off this area here, and he wants to challenge that because right now I have no healing on the board, and he does. And he's got the Shadow, so he wants to, get dominant position, of these key squares in this area. So he's gonna make sure that I absolutely can't take this gem square. But the nice thing about this position is that he doesn't actually have anything that can directly attack my units here. They're all safe. Like the Shadow's range is oops. Here. Alright, Shadow range is there. Monk's range is, here. and the wind blade, you know, so all these 2 units are not going to get hit, but obviously I'm not going to be able to take this gem tile anytime soon. So that doesn't tell you anything. So here's what I do. The nice thing about monks is that they have lots of HP, but the not nice thing about monks is that you have to, the Shaolin have very bad healing, and if you lose your monks, then it takes a lot of HP to heal up. So what I'm forced to do here is I'm forced to sword this poisoner, and this does 2 things. One, this actually threatens the shadow, because I have this bamboo and I have the dragon, and that combination would allow me to move my poisoner here and then hit the shadow twice, and then dragon, and then bamboo, and I would actually kill the shadow. So it is actually a legitimate threat on the shadow, unless he does something. So not only am I threatening his shadow, but I'm killing the monk, so he's got to do something about that as well. And I also drop this Taoist down to basically back up my poisoner. So I'm really not playing games with this gem tile here. I'm gonna play really aggressive with my upgrades, and since he's got the shadow out and he's got it in an offensive position, I'm not gonna let him get away with that. I'm gonna threaten him very aggressively. You one moment, let me grab a bottle of water real quick. Okay, much better. My voice is still not like completely recovered, although it's mostly better. So this is one of those moves where I've forced him to do something about the monk, and I've forced him to do something about the shadow. He's gonna have to come up with something clever here. So let's see what he does. Oh, and I turned 2 cards, and what did I get? I got a helm, and I got another Taoist. And getting the second Taoist out is nice, too, by the way. As that means he can't get a cheap kill off of my Taoist. And then I wouldn't have any way to heal it. That's not gonna happen. So let's see what he does. So he moves the Wind Blade up here. He moves the Taoist here. Bamboo. And then 2 heals on the monk. So he wisely realizes that that he needs to protect his shadow, otherwise it's going to get reamed. And he also saves the monk. So this is a good play by him. Obviously the monk is still weak. And also this bamboo, he put it on the gem tile, but he definitely put it on the gem tile earlier than he would have wanted to, because I'm in a very good position to actually combo it down. And bamboos are really, really versatile items. So I'm pretty happy that the bamboo is out this early and wasn't used to like stomp any of my units. It's fairly a defensive bamboo to protect that monk. So it's on a good position though, so I need to worry about like an early crystal damage rush, especially on this crystal. Because if he's got like, you know, these units that can run, especially this Wind Blade here, if he went here and then splashed that back crystal a few times, he could try and turn this into a crystal rush from the very beginning. And without a shadow, it'd be really hard for me to defend against that. But what I want to do is, well, let's see what I end up doing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I move the Poisoner here. I move the Monk. Actually, I move up here. I do 3 Poisoner attacks on the Windblade, and then my Monk moves to Stomp. And so what does this do? I am going to take the gonna take the Windblade that he gives me, and I'm sacking my Monk a little bit, but my Poisoner is also directly threatening his Shadow again, which is awesome. And I've killed a unit, so he's got to either abandon this position or burn a good item or something, because his Shadow is in grave danger from this Poisoner again. And obviously he doesn't necessarily know that I have the Dragon and the Bamboo, but he has to respect those possibilities, because losing the Shadow so early in the game, it could just be game ending. And even if he kills my Monk here and revives it, as long as I can KO this Monk in 1 hit and the Shadow's still here, then it's still killable. So it's more threats that he's gonna have to deal with, and I got a Windblade out of it too, which is pretty nice, which reduces the threat on this crystal. It makes this Bamboo less valuable because he still hasn't got any crystal damage yet. Okay, so what does he do? He moves his Taoist forward, and then he does 3 hits on the Monk, and then he Bamboos it. Now I feel really great about this situation, because now both Bamboos have been played, and we're only on like turn 10 or so, and both Bamboos are out on the board. So now there's no possibility of really long range stomping for the entire rest of the game for him. And if you break down how the trade went, he's traded 2 Bamboo and a Windblade for 1 Monk, and that's it. So I've gotten 3 items for 1, and not only that, but I've gotten 2 very good items out of him, and I still have that +1 Poisoner up in his face. So this has been a very, very, very successful opening game for me. He does have a really good position. Like, this position here is like really well fortified, because Shaolin of all the squads are actually really bad at killing Bamboo, because the debuff from the Poisoner doesn't actually doesn't hit the Bamboo. It just will do 300 damage each shot. So some other races can kill the Bamboo faster, either through AoE or through spot, or AoE, or just higher damage output. But the Shaolin don't have that luxury. But regardless, that is what I have. So what do I want to do? I lost my Monk. This Poisoner's kind of out in no man's land, so I'd probably like to develop my army a bit more. Let's see what I end up doing. Okay. So what I do is I take 2 pot shots at this Bamboo here, because I'd love to start like wearing this down a little bit, just to get those off the board, so that it'll just be totally taken care of. I'm going to move my Poisoner back to the attack square, and I'm basically like saying like, okay, I've done my damage. Now I want to get back and I want to turn some more cards. So I get my second Taoist out on the board, and move this Taoist in a position where the Windblade's going to be is going to be relatively fortified, and he's not going to be able to send any units in to do damage on these crystals, which would be the way that he would try to capitalize on his early advantage of getting the Bamboo down on the gem tile. Alright, so let's see what he ends up doing. Okay, so he spends a turn developing. So he deploys a Windblade, moves it up here, and then he puts a sword and a shield on the Shadow, and then he also heals the Monk once. So he basically is going to spend his turn developing too, and fortifying his position here. the idea of sorting the shadow is interesting, and I know that I kind of talked about this earlier on in a few weeks ago in my Surviving with Shaolin series about when you want to sword your shadow. And if you'll recall, the situations where you want to sword your shadow is when there's a sword tile, or the sword tile on the map. So in this map, there's two, here and here. So that's one way you can use it. Another possibility is if you're gonna have a +1 poisoner, or sorry, a sworded poisoner running around with the shadow, because the combination of the sworded poisoner and the sworded shadow will 2-hit KO any 800 HP unit. So that particular threshold is pretty valuable as well. But on this map, because the attack tiles are difficult to take, you can't really take your opponent's one. I'm not really sure how I feel about sorting the shadow. I'm not convinced that it's really that great of a move. I would have been a much bigger fan, in fact, of sorting the Windblade instead. I'm just not a huge believer in sorting the shadow in Shaolin versus Shaolin. That's just a personal thing. It's not necessarily a wrong move, and it can lead to some good offensive possibilities. If he can somehow take that square, it can get things out of control really quickly. So let's move on. So, what am I going to do? What I want to do is I want to threaten this Windblade here, because I don't want him to get onto this square. It'll confer a lot of map presence for him, and that could cause problems for me. My hand is terrible, by the way. I have got no units to play, so I can't really develop my my army further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this Windblade on this defense tile, shield him, so that basically this Windblade isn't going to be able to do anything to him, because my guy will have 40, that number, 40% damage reduction for physical. So, and I'm also going to attack this Windblade once to force him to heal it, or at least to make it an easier kill. Like my poisoner could two-shot it, and his Taoist is not in position to heal this Windblade either. So really what I'm thinking about is I'm not thinking about going this way. I'm thinking about actually going down this way, because this bamboo is going to allow me to get splash damage off on like all these units that are clumped here. And so I'm going to try and use his bamboo to my advantage to get some damage on these units, and then also the splash damage will help me clear the bamboo itself, which will negate his little fortress position here. Okay. So with that in mind, let's see what he does next turn. Oops. Oh, and what did I draw? I drew a monk. I drew a monk, which is still not great. Like, I'm still fishing for my shadow, but at least I've got a unit that I can deploy on the next turn. So what does he do? He moves a shadow over, and he attacks the poisoner, and then he dragons, and then he steals, and then he moves it over there. So last week I talked about when is it acceptable to use a dragon, and my rule of thumb was, well, there's a few rules, but one of the rules was you need it to be either to kill a +2 unit or above, or basically, you know, take out like the last Taoist or something that like confers a huge advantage in the game, to the point where you can just like totally ride that to victory. And in this situation, I don't think this was a good use of a dragon. He gets the +1 poisoner, but I'm going to be able... It's not like he's going to be able to steal that away and keep it, because I have that Windblade out there on this tile here that can clean that up. And you really... In Shaolin versus Shaolin, your dragons are what win you the game. They're like the X factor. You really need them to do enough damage where you can ride that to victory. And it just didn't really do that much. Although in his defense, if you look at like what units he has on the board, he's got a Windblade, he's got a +3 Shadow, he's got a Monk, he's got a Taoist, and he's also got you know, my crystals. There, he's got this Gentile. So if he takes my +1 Poisoner off the board, he's gonna have like this huge unit advantage that I think he thought that he would be able to turn that into like crystal damage as like a continuation play from taking my Poisoner off the board. So like the theory is fine, and also like this the Shadow is threatening taking this this tile here, so I need to be blocking that going forward. But the theory makes sense, but it's still a little speculative, and I'm not. In my opinion, I don't think he did enough damage with that dragon. I was happy to see him use it in that manner. So let's see what I did to follow this up. Right. So what I did is I moved here. I attacked the Poisoner. I moved down to stop it. I moved back, and then I helmed the Windblade. And the reason I helmed it is because I wanted to. I needed to turn another card. And that's really the main one, but I'm also thinking like I may need to sword this guy because I have so little offense on the board that I need to correct that immediately. And so having like a +3 Windblade running around, like he doesn't have any Poisoners on the board, so he's gonna have a lot of trouble killing a +3 Windblade. That may be a plan of action, but it depends on what I end up drawing here. And let's see what I do end up drawing. I draw a shield. So that's crappy. I'm still looking for like a Poisoner or my Shadow. Those are really the two things I wanted to draw there. And my Shadow is still MIA, which is quite the bummer. I've played this entire game against his Shadow, but I have yet to draw mine, which is unfortunate. So let's see how he decides to follow this up. Okay, so this is what I mentioned last turn. So he killed the Poisoner, and now he's going to use like a continuation play to threaten my crystals, and he gets a good amount of damage on my back crystal there. And now is when like I'm thinking, okay, I need to respond to this really aggressively, because if he gets much more damage on this back crystal, then especially if he's able to just like kill it, it's gonna be really hard for me to defend this top crystal. But you can stick a Poisoner right here, especially like a sorted Poisoner in this position, and then move up here, and then both threaten anything in front of this crystal, while keeping the Poisoner safe. So I need to respond to this very aggressively. So what I'm going to do is I move the Taoist onto the attack tile, I sword the Windblade, I move him down, and I hit the Shadow twice. And so this is a bunch of things actually. This is about as good a defense as I could have hoped for. I do damage on the Shadow, so he's going to have to heal the Shadow with the Taoist, who is, by the way, not in position to heal the Shadow, because only units in this area can be healed. And also, he can't like move it to the attack tile and heal, because then it's still out of range, right? So he's gonna have to spend like 3 AP to get this Shadow back to full health. So that's pretty efficient for me. I also do damage to the bamboo here. You can see it's taken about a quarter. Both of these have taken roughly about a quarter life more damage. And the more damage I do to this bamboo, the sooner that I can shut down his crystal assault. Remember, he's used both of his bamboos, so he's not going to be able to bamboo that crystal tile or that gem tile again. And also, he doesn't really have any poisoners out, so he can't really threaten this this Windblade. He's going to have to play defensive from this point. So a strong, aggressive response to this crystal damage is going to force him to abandon the offense, at least for now, and play defensive a bit longer before he can really try to press his advantage. And he's invested a lot. He's invested both bamboos and a dragon. He sorted his poisoner. So he's really trying to push his advantage on the crystals here. But the right defense and taking that threat seriously is going to prevent him from really getting as much done as he'd like to. One final note. I mentioned this last week, but I always like getting the Taoist on the attack tile. It really helps with just keeping your units healed up all the way. Healing is one of the biggest weaknesses of Shaolin, and putting the Taoist on that tile helps mitigate that more than anything else, and allows you to be a lot more fearless with some of your powerful units. So let's see a response to this. So I think I'm sorry, I think I missed a turn. Oops. I think I missed a screenshot here. So let's see if we can figure out what he did from this. So he moves the Taoist up, moves the shadow back. He moves the Windblade up. And he heals the shadow. And there's another AP in there somewhere that I'm not seeing. I wish I had that screenshot. I'm sorry. He may have swapped an item. I'm not sure. So because I only see 4 AP there for him. But yeah. So he's gonna have the shadow here. Taoist here, Windblade here, and maybe he attacked my Taoist. Because my Taoist had some damage on it. Yeah, he poked my Taoist. Poked my Taoist with the last AP. So what he wants to do is he wants to really threaten this attack tile here, and he's going to use his shadow in this position, which is going to outrange anything that I have, because my units right now are only 2 range. And he's gonna either try to force my Taoist off this tile, or basically have more firepower than I can deal with, especially trying to take care of this Taoist on this tile. And so what I do is I move my Windblade here. And then I attack his shadow 4 times. And basically I'm saying, I'm not going to let you bully my Taoist. I'm going to do tons of damage. And by the way, the splash damage is also going to weaken your Taoist. And I haven't seen a second Taoist out of him yet. And I kind of feel like at this point, if he had a second Taoist, he would have put it on the map already. Because it's always good to have backup, especially in an advanced position like this. This Taoist there is kind of on an island by itself. So I'm feeling like he probably doesn't have another Taoist in his deck. And I might be able to force him to burn a combo potion either on the Shadow or on the Taoist to get it back to full, because otherwise he's not going to have a way to get it back to full. And he's going to have to spend some time healing, because this I've got him on the back foot. I just keep doing damage to his units, and he can't heal it fast enough. and eventually he's gonna have to retreat, or he's gonna have to find some way to kill. He's gonna have to find some way to kill this +3 Windblade. And as an added bonus, I got the bamboo here from the splash damage as well. So that's one bamboo that is taken off the board. So, in response, what does he do? He leaves the Taoist like that. He combo potions the Shadow, and he does a 2-hit combo with the Monk. So he move, attack, combo potion. And he's really going for broke now. He really wants to kill this Windblade as best he can without burning a dragon, because if you can kill like 1+3 unit without a dragon, then you use the dragon on the last sword and their attack power is kind of crippled. It's just a really good thing. And also this threatens my Taoist as well. Like my Taoist is getting low from the splash damage. He's got this Monk protecting his Shadow as well. Things are looking good for him. But here's where I have a big decision to make, because I have some items here. I have some items here. Now, if you'll remember, dragons do damage in a line. And boy, that's quite a line. That is quite a line. And if I use both dragons, it looks like this. Looks like this. Now I haven't submitted this turn, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like if I use both dragons. I've got 1 AP left. I can kill all these units. You just look at that. Look at that pile of death. That is a combo potion +3 Shadow, a Taoist, and a Monk KO'd by 2 dragons. But this is a risk. This is a big risk. I'm basically burning all my offensive firepower for the rest of the game. And I'll get his Shadow, which is awesome. But he's going to have 2 potential +3 units running around. I'm not going to have any Shadows to deal with it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have any dragons to deal with those. I may be giving up my my Windblade as well as a follow-up, largely for free. So how do you decide what to do in this situation? There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of like different variations on this move. One, do I even want to do this move? Do I want to risk everything? What are the risks? What do I want to do with this last AP? What do I think he has in his hand? All these things are really important, and they all go into determining whether I make this huge risk. Because basically I'm betting the game, right? Like if this move goes wrong and he's able to recover from this, I burned both dragons. Like this is all in. The entire game is going to ride on this move. If this move doesn't go right for me, then I'm basically toast. So it is absolutely critical that I make a good decision here. So let's think about what can happen. Okay? So, what is the worst case scenario for me? The worst case scenario for me is he's got a Taoist. So what would his next move look like? He would deploy his Taoist here. So Taoist would start here. Probably like move him down here. heal, so this is the 3rd AP. Revive. And you could either like retreat or you could combo potion again. And if he combo potions, then he's got a full HP shadow again. So to me, that is the worst case scenario. Is that he's got he's got Taoist. Plus combo. And this is where math and gut feeling really comes into play. So what are the odds that he has that combination? He's used a combo potion already, and I think at this point he's got like 16 items left, roughly. I think it might have been 18 actually, I'm sorry. He's got roughly 18 items left in his deck, 6 of which are in his hand. And so this is like some probability math here. But he's got 2 Taoists, so like what's the odds that he has either one of the Taoists? It's if you're drawing from 18 items randomly, you have a 2 out of 18 chance of getting the Taoist. And then you draw again because you have 6 items in your hand, so it's 2 over 17 plus 2 over 16. Dot dot dot. You do it until you get get down to 13. So 2 over 18 plus 2 over 17 plus 2 over 16 plus 2 over 15 plus 2 over 14 plus 2 over 13. Let's see. Actually, no, I think I'm doing this wrong. I'm sorry. I'm bad at probability. So it's actually not, that's the wrong math to use, so ignore that. It's actually easier if you do it, you assume that, okay, he's gonna draw something that's not. So it's actually 16 over 18 times 15 over 17, and you do that. So my apologies. Let me do that math. So that's 16 over 18 times 15 over 17 times 14 over 16 times 13 over 15 times 12 over 14 times 11 over 13. Go Google. And so that is equals 43%. So there's a 43% chance that he does not have a Taoist. Okay, so I'm just going to write number 1 as T plus C. So the percentage, the chance that he has a Taoist is 57%, just purely based on the odds. Like the raw math says he's got a 57% chance of having a Taoist. And the chance that he has a combo potion, this is 17 over 18 times 16 over 17 times 15 over 16 times 14 over 15 times 13 over 14 times 12 over 13. Welcome to math class, everybody. And Google says that percent chance is 66% chance that he does not have a combo potion. So 33% chance that he does. Right, we knew that, right? Like it's 6 over 18. So that makes perfect sense. So what are the odds that he has both? Well, it's not. I don't think it's exactly 0.57 times 0.33. Like I don't think you can quite combine it that way. But it's still good enough for a ballpark. So T plus C equals roughly 18%. So if you're wondering, yes, I really did all this math before I made this move. So that's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario has roughly 18% chance of happening, and oops, I messed up. I'm sorry. Yeah. So 18% chance of happening, and it would leave his shadow alive potentially, and so that's like the probability of ruin. Now, what about scenario 2? Taoist. Okay. So what does he do if he only has a Taoist? 1, you deploy, move, heal, and then he's gotta move the shadow away somewhere. But if he does that, I can sack this Windblade and still kill the shadow. I can still stomp it with the splash damage wherever he moves it. So in scenario 2, Taoist, he still loses the shadow. He loses the shadow. Okay. And we said that was roughly. So if we go back to our odds, this is T plus C, roughly 18%. Taoist is roughly 60%. He still loses his shadow in this scenario. What's the third scenario? Not Taoist. So this is going to roughly be 40%. If you just go by the pure math. And yes, I realize that these don't all add up to 100, but this first scenario is conditional. On the Taoist. So these two scenarios are kind of like mathematically rolled up into one, and now my beautiful diagram gets all ugly. So basically, here's how I look at this. I've got an 18% chance of probably getting destroyed. I've got a 60% chance, or I've got an 80% chance of getting his shadow. And I've got a 40% chance of getting his shadow, getting his Taoist, getting his monk, and saving my Windblade here. Because I can heal the Windblade with the last AP instead of like stomping the shadow. Because I could stomp the shadow now. And kind of make things moot. But I really don't want to give up that +3 Windblade if I don't have to. And it comes down to the gut. I believe that if he had that Taoist, that last Taoist, he would have he would have tried to play it already. And the fact that he has not played another Taoist already is evidence that he doesn't have it in his hand to begin with. So even though mathematically it's about a 40% chance of this working out perfectly, I personally believe that that based on my gut, I've got a better chance of having this work out. And so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make the greediest play possible, And I'm gonna save my +3 +3 Windblade here. And I'm gonna leave all these guys unstomped, and we're gonna let the dice roll and see if this works out epically for me or not. And by the way, this also turns 2 cards for what it's worth. And what do I get? I get my shadow. Isn't that lovely? So that's what happened. I drew my shadow. So I'm gonna leave you guys on a cliffhanger. If you want to find out which scenario ended up being the case, then you'll have to tune in next week to find out what Dragon Reborn had. So, thank you for